Episode, I've recommended that we call it the flat forehead episode because every few seconds you're probably going to smack yourself that way and say, I can't believe he said that.
I deal with the realities. I deal with numbers. Yes, I'm here to amuse you, Mayor. Thank you.
Because of an ego, really, is this whole arena to me is just a big ego trip for the mayor.
And we as a city, there's certain things that we're learning as we're on this journey to enhance and improve the quality of
There are
life.
properties that are coming off the tax rolls. We have $6.3 million worth of assessed property tax that is coming off the property tax rolls in what we know as Machinery Row. That is something that we know.
Easy to take a risk with somebody else's money.
Absolutely,
You get very
yeah.
sloppy with it, which
Right.
they've been doing.
Right.
Project after project after project.
And
after
not only that,
project.
George, when they go into a project, and we can bring up the fact that there's a complaint filed on Dickert and the administration because of those sloppiness that goes on there, because they had to have this thing so badly at Machinery Row, they actually went out there and there's a complaint out there that says they actually violated the law doing it. I mean, how bad does this have to get?
No, that's really sloppy.
Yeah.
We gotta have money. There's opioids, there's drugs, there's alcohol abuse. We have seniors, we have youth, health, and all in between. We have health issues in the community. We have roads, we have bridges, etc., etc. We have a lot of things that we gotta do. And that would be an engine that will help us to move forward.
This arena is some way going to address the opioid problem, the crime problem. That is the most ridiculous thing I've heard. Okay, welcome back to Talking Racine. I'm Dr. Ken Yorgan, your host. To my left is the malcontent maven of mathematics, Mr. George Myers. And to my right is the chief investigator.
He's been working all week on that.
No, just a couple of minutes. Chief investigator, producer of the show, Mr. Jim Spodek. And tonight, this episode, I've recommended that we call it the flat forehead episode because every few seconds you're probably going to smack yourself that way and say, I can't believe he said that. So without further ado, let's take a look. Is it starting out with Alderman Widener?
It is.
Okay.
Now, this is the April 17th Committee of the Whole meeting.
Right.
So this was a discussion on rescinding the $600,000 for the study of the arena. So this is where it was.
By whole, we're not referring to a hole where your tax dollars go. It's like the whole committee with the
right.
W-H-O-L-E.
Right.
And we're going to address one particular part of that. We actually went through and counted the number of issues that brought up, and it's somewhere around 23, 24 separate issues. But we want to address one particular thing, one particular economic concept, and we really hope we can get it across to you. That's our target today.
That's our priority tonight.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do here.
All right, but now we're probably not going to interrupt Alderman Widener too much because she is one of the few people on the council who makes.
She sets it up.
Yeah,
and then we'll go to Joey Shakur is kind of where our
prologue to the whole thing.
where our information is going to be.
Probably. Oh yeah, that's where it gets weird.
As the author of the communication requesting that the council discuss rescinding the action taken by the council to fund phase 1 of the event center proposal. The reason that I did that is, in my view, the driver of the train for the past 2 years has been Mayor Dickert. He has announced his resignation on the 27th of March, the same date that affected me to make the request that we revisit this.
With the potential of the development of the downtown hotel and event center, the city can tap into the 19 billion with a B dollars in economic impact that's in Wisconsin. What's the matter with us being like all other places in Wisconsin? How come we can't be like Wisconsin Dells? How come we can't be like an Oshkosh? How come we can't be like a Las Vegas? How come we're right in the middle of Chicago, Milwaukee. We can be an economic impact. Now, tourism is one of the top 5 economic things that's.
He is just throwing out a piece of BS there right now with regards to tourism being one of the top 5 industries in Wisconsin. It simply is not. And you can go online. If you just Google top 5 Wisconsin industries, you come up with the top 5 are. And I think they're interesting to go over. We just go over them real quickly.
Yeah.
You realize, of course, that the dairy industry is primary in Wisconsin.
That's a big one.
The dairy industry cannot exist without bulls, and with bulls, there's BS. So, sorry for the interruption. Go ahead.
But the dairy industry we're all very aware of, and that is number 2. All right? The number 1 is actually fruit and vegetable preserving and specialty. How about that?
Right.
All right? The number 2 is dairy, as I said. Number 3 is leather and allied product manufacturing. Number 4 is wood product manufacturing. And number 5 is paper manufacturing.
So, but I'm not seeing tourism. in the top
Tourism
five
not there. Tourism is, QA mentions 19 billion. It's 18, a little over 18 billion, actually. He's close enough. But we have a $300 billion economy here in Wisconsin. That's only 6%. 6% of 300 billion is 18 billion. So that's not going to be one of the top 3, 6%. That would be like maybe 16th.
So what he's trying to do
like
is
that.
take a slice of the tourism to bring into Racine, similar, like you said, to Wisconsin Dells.
And even Las Vegas. He mentions Las Vegas. My God.
But the thing is as he's going to talk a little bit more about growth. Economic growth,
Right.
And that's where we want to target. That's where we want to get with regards to this particular program, and tourism is not one of those things. But let's go ahead.
No, it could be because tourism will create cash flow,
Right.
but it does not generate profit. It does not generate income. It does not generate growth.
They're not to generate
Right.
growth, and we'll talk more about that in just a little bit.
And something like our Kringle, this is Racine Kringles. This is a big thing that happened around here. We can have a Kringle Day or something. I don't know, but nevertheless, there's a lot of things that we can do with a center like that downtown. We of course need to compete with the county. We need to compete with the state. We need to compete with America. And yes, why not think big? We need to compete with the world. The world should be talking about, let's go to Racine. Let's go. They got an excellent downtown.
I can't take any more of that. I mean, talk about delusions of grandeur. We're going to compete with the world on the basis of tourism. I mean, my God.
I'd like to say just one. This is a setup. This is a setup by the mayor to set somebody out there because there's opposition to this arena.
Yeah.
And you've got QA coming out there with absolute malarkey. He throws it out there because the pressure is on. And usually in these situations, there's no objection to these kind of ideas.
Right.
Now there's citizens, there's particularly Sandy Widener. I'm bringing up actual facts. They've got to come up with something. So they're actually getting desperate. So when they throw these, we're going to be one of the best world.
It's a desperation snow job is what they're trying to throw.
Whether we like it or not, we are in competition with the rest of the world.
We are.
I mean, we're getting foreign products here all the time. All right. Now the question is how do we best compete with them?
Right.
And how do we grow? And that is the topic that we want to discuss this evening. And the thing that we need to describe here is what's called a driver industry.
Right.
All right. What is a driver industry? Now this is an economic phenomenon. I'm going to read this out of a study that was done in 2013. And you can look this up. It's look up under the Wisconsin Economic Future Study. You might throw that on the screen when you're doing that one. The Wisconsin Economic Future Study. And here is what a driver industry is. The Wisconsin Economic Future Study was designed to help the state identify industries that drive economic growth in the state. What drives economic growth in the state? As well as clearly connect those driver industries with countless others, statewide and within the 7 Wisconsin regions, that allow drivers to thrive and deliver economic prosperity to the state and its population.
Right.
Now that sounds like something we want.
Right.
That's what a driver industry does. Now, to get a clue of where you find those driver industries, this same study came up with the number of drivers industries that are in the state of Wisconsin. And
just to put it in layman's terms, which is what I'm in, I'm just a layman guy here.
go ahead.
Talking about the difference between cash flow and profitability that I spoke of just a moment ago. When you're looking for profitability, when you're looking for a driver industry, which is a profitable industry, you're looking basically at the state of Wisconsin being sort of an island unto itself, but interacting with the larger world and the states surrounding it. There's an exchange relationship going on, and you have to show some kind of a profit if there's going to be any kind of growth. Things like an arena, there is no exchange there. It's not like you're creating a product that you're marketing to other states, to other parts of the world.
Exactly.
It's just money
It's
that's
something
kind of
for
like
you that you're
Right.
just gonna go in there.
Unless you built the
the
arenas
money
and
is
shipped
just,
them.
exactly.
Right.
The money is just kind of moving around the community, but you're not gaining anything. You're not profiting with it.
You are not. That's not what brings prosperity, as this study showed. That brings prosperity to the state. Delivers economic prosperity to the state and its population. Now, here is what it states about the driver industries from the same study. Wisconsin is home to 37 statewide driver industries. 37 that we got that they could count. All but one of the statewide drivers industries is manufacturing in nature. The exception is the electronic shopping and mail order house industry group. Now you notice tourism is not a driver industry for exactly the reason that you said. You're not making anything that you can ship to someplace else. And Wisconsin, Racine used to be home to many industries, and it still is. It's still a major economic activity within the state of Wisconsin and also within Racine. There's a lot of it, but you don't see it too much because they're behind these factory doors that are still operating.
Well, those are the
Well,
ones
and
that
there aren't as many big ones as there used to be.
No, that's right.
And it's been an issue that's happened not only to our city but to other cities.
Yeah.
But this is some of the stuff that you have to kind of start to regenerate back in. The arena is certainly not the one to do it.
No, a
And
driver
spend $50 million
industry.
to
The
do it.
people in the driver industries manufacture something, like you said, that makes a profit that they can ship to other parts of the country and the world, and that money comes back to us. And now we have the money to go shopping and go visit arenas and things like that.
Right.
But it's not the arena and the stores and the tourism that drives us. That drives that economic activity. It is manufacturing, and it is almost solely manufacturing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we need to learn if we're going to see this city grow again. You're not going to do it through arenas. You're not going to do it through marinas. You're going to do it through industry. You're going to do it through manufacturing. All right?
Exactly.
And by the way, manufacturing takes many forms. The dairy industry is considered manufacturing.
Right.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. The product comes from the ground, the plants. You have cows that eat that. You get the milk from them. You manufacture butter.
Cheese.
That is manufacturing.
Right.
All right. That's not. It's when you open up a Kmart or a Walmart or something like that. That's retail. You're no longer manufacturing. You're just bringing goods in here to buy for yourself for your own consumption.
Right.
All right.
So
It's all about that balance of trade, interstate trade, global trade, so on and so forth.
But when we go back to the Common Council, they continually talk about what's going to be this driving force for the community. It's exactly the opposite. It's going to be a deficit to the community, and to spend $50 million to have a deficit when if you're going to spend anything, spend it for a driver industry.
Well, they've identified no developers that are coming in
Right.
to participate in the funding of this arena project.
Exactly.
There are none. And they've talked about a $300,000 annual cost to the taxpayers of this arena
Once
project.
it's operating. That's right.
It's not a winner. It's not something that a community, based on taxpayer money, should be investing in.
It is not. Jim mentioned a little earlier, if it was a driving industry, if you were manufacturing arenas, let's say you manufactured an arena and you sold one to Peoria, Illinois, that they bought and put it in there, and sold another one to Des Moines, Iowa, now you would have a driving industry, okay, because you're manufacturing something that other people want. All right, but that's not what this is. We're just manufacturing something for ourselves.
Exactly.
That's
Marina.
it's not a crazy idea, actually. You know,
Well, no,
you could
think
put
about
together arena kits.
Yeah.
You know, and sell them around the country.
Well, think
Now,
about this.
that would be a driver
We've got,
industry.
That would be,
marina.
Yeah, that would be good.
We have a marina, which actually has been, I mean, and they've talked about the success of the marina that did all these things. What if you built ships in that marina?
Yeah.
What would that have done?
Now you've got something.
Right.
And by the way, the other side of that coin is there's other communities, other states, other countries that have their own driving industries, and they're going to manufacture things that we want.
Right. Right.
See? So they make money off of theirs, we make money off of ours, and between the two of them, we have this thriving economy. And the United States has done very well at that, probably better than any other country in the world.
Right.
We don't have too many thatched huts anymore with mud walls, like I saw in Vietnam when I was there. You know, so because we've advanced that way because we have these driving industries. We're not off of consumer, trying to build off of consumer activity, which is just buying things and consuming things. And that's all the arena is. It's just you're going to buy tickets to go to a game, and you're consuming the game. You're not manufacturing anything. It's not going to be a driver industry. And all I'm saying is that we need to learn this as Americans and as politicians, because until we learn this, we're going to continue to chase these wild dreams and think that we're going to build something from an arena, recover an economy from something like an arena, which just isn't going to work. It is not the way economics works. Driving
Well, certainly not as a community investment. If it was a private developer coming in here, of which there are none to date,
Right.
then if they want to come in here and build an
Go
arena,
ahead.
Well, they would
Go
come in
for
the
it.
same way you come in and put in
Yeah.
a food
Right.
store.
Exactly.
In other words,
Yeah.
but you have to have people there that have money that are going to spend
Right.
money at
Right.
your arena.
still it would be a consumer product.
It's still a consumer product.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
we can make it,
the only
that was-
difference is we wouldn't be funding it from the get-go. We wouldn't
No.
be building the thing and patronizing it. I mean, it's a ridiculous cycle. By the way, you shouldn't be bad-mouthing thatch. You know, that's something that's coming back.
All right, you guys want to move on here?
Thatch
Yeah.
roofs. Is it for roofing? Is it-
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's becoming popular.
All right, I'm going to shoot back. I'm going to bring him back up.
Now, there's other things that's happening too. All right? We know that we're looking at possibly demolishing 20 properties in the older neighborhoods that's going to be raised. And of course, that's going to affect the tax base. That's going to affect the tax base. There's a lot of other things that's happening around here. You all know, you've been reading the mail, you know what's going on. We got to have money. There's opioids, there's drugs, there's alcohol abuse. We have seniors, we have youth, health, and all in between. We have health issues in the community. We have roads, we have bridges, etc., etc. We have a lot of things that we got to do. And that would be an engine that will help us to move forward.
You can stop
Oh
that.
yeah,
Okay.
that's ridiculous.
All right, so there. We're at the wrong. We're not producing highways for sale. We're not producing opiates for sale. You know, those are not driver industries. That's infrastructure. That's a different type of activity, and that is something you spend on so that you can.
Right.
One
again,
infrastructure. I just want to bring this up real quickly because it's something we need to bring up, and that is the I-794 project.
Right.
That's an old project. It was first dreamed up back in 1960. It was dropped for whatever reason, but that needs to be brought back
I agree.
because that's the type of infrastructure we need to come in so people can get in and out of here.
Right.
And
One of the biggest problems is getting in and out of Racine.
yeah, and so our driver industries can survive instead of trying to work their way out to, you know, because for a driver industry it has to bring in products that you're going to work with, you know, and then it has to deliver those
Right.
products that it's made.
Well, that's why you have, building and development at I-94. That's why they're.
That's why it's all out there. That's
Exactly.
why it's growing out there.
You bring 794 into Racine, you're going to find the same things.
Well, that was some more of that dairy industry product that you referenced before, the BS.
Yeah.
You know, that this arena is some way going to address the opioid problem, the crime problem. That is the most ridiculous thing I've heard this
Again,
evening.
I
mean,
go back to this whole setup that, you know, they're
But
actually
it's
getting
going to
desperate.
cost us. It's going to cost us money every year. How
I hope
is
the people
diverting
watching this
hundreds of thousands of dollars
understand that.
to this going to help combat drug abuse?
Well, that's the thing.
Nuts.
And we have people like QA on the council. I've seen a lot of them politicians. I've seen very few politicians understand economics. I haven't seen any actually. But the problem.
That's why they're. That's why.
Yeah,
they're
I have
cheaper.
never.
But you were being generous. There's probably
yeah.
some out there that do
No,
understand.
I've never seen one that understands that the economy is not consumer driven.
Right.
It's
Right.
driven by production, not driven by consumption. And people like us have to be understanding that and be responsible for putting people in the position of government that do understand it also.
Right.
And then we can start having some real success economy-wise.
Well, eventually, consumption is an important part of the equation. But if what you're consuming is sporting events, you know, that's got nothing
Well,
to
that's
do with
why
it.
you don't
It's-
have these.
That's
the
why you
radios don't-
produce, is
yeah,
because we want to
exactly.
consume. Yes,
Yeah,
it's an important part of the equation, but it's not the driving force.
Right.
It's not what builds the economy. Consumption, by definition, is destroying what you've made.
Here's my
Right?
read on this whole
But
thing.
in some sense, I mean, if you're consuming sinks and refrigerators and cars and so on and so forth, that's a whole lot different than consuming a sporting event
Exactly.
at a cost.
The consumer
to the taxpayer.
determines what the producer is going to produce. The consumer is the driver of the
Right.
car. He's
Right.
not the engine of the car.
Exactly.
The consumer is the driver of the car. The engine of the car is the manufacturer.
This is why
Right.
it's so important to get a mayor, somebody in his leadership positions, and these alderpersons that understands economics. Because look at where we're at in this community, and it's because of QA Shakur's type of mentality that's run rampant through the aldermanic races.
He's not the only one, right?
He's not the only
Well,
one.
let's go back and see a little more example of that mentality.
Now, I know people may say, well, there's certain things we've had big developments supposed to happen around here, it didn't happen. Well, everything is not successful, and if you don't do something and try to do something, failure is inevitable. But you show me a person that never failed at anything. And we as a city, there's certain things that we're learning as we're on this journey to enhance and improving the quality of life.
Okay, well, I think we've learned a lot through the history of this town. I mean, we've had a number of failures. We ought to be one smart
Actually, I don't know if we had
bunch
any
of-
winners.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
I don't know if we've had a
Yeah,
winner.
so we're probably
We should be
really
experts
smart.
at losing.
Oh,
Yeah,
experts.
we've got a long list of things we failed at, and the reason that we're going to keep failing at them is because of this misconception that somehow a consumption product is going to help build things. Even Machinery Row is centered around apartment buildings.
Right.
That's consumer activity, and it's retail stores at the bottom.
Yep.
That's and a walkway.
Right.
That's all consumer activity. Consumer activity does not build an economy. The driver industries build the economy. They make people have money, so they have money to go out and rent an apartment and buy at the
You
store.
know, one of the
and-
things
and
that you
have
brought
time
up
to
in
go
a
to
previous
walkway.
show was, and I remember Devin Southerner from the DRC came to one of the meetings about the event center, and he talked about, and he showed a picture of all this development that started because of the marina. And you brought it up. Why are there so many storefronts that are still empty?
Yeah.
Why is there an economic depression, really?
Why are
in the-
people still leaving Racine?
Yeah.
If the marina's so
Why did you lose
successful.
20,000 people? If it was this driving force that worked so well 20 or 25 years ago, why is it that it didn't do what it was supposed to do? You know, then these buildings that they talk about, you know, a lot of those were government
Yeah,
subsidized.
I believe they were. Yeah,
Yeah.
They
So,
were
I
government
mean, yeah, I got a
subsidized
few in
anyway.
here, but I remember those buildings. They all struggled when they went on a private dollar amount. There was no profit in those. They were struggled, and I'll tell you what, those developers would not do those again.
Well, and do we have shops that have so many customers that they can't handle them all? Do we have apartment complexes that have so many renters that they have no vacancies?
Right. And
What
you
is
know,
the point of building a project that is devoted specifically to those kinds of activities if the ones that we have currently are not thriving?
Correct.
It makes no sense at all.
And
That is not
particularly
going to
when you-
create anything.
Particularly when you add on to it the formula, and well, I hope people learn this, is that those are consumer activities. That's the wrong end of the economic cycle. The economic cycle goes production, distribution, consumption.
Right.
The driver industries, the thing that build things, are manufacturing oriented. We have 37 driver industries in Wisconsin, and all but one of them is in manufacturing.
You know, here's the thing, though. When a citizen looks at a politician, I mean, realistically, when what we're talking about, it's boring. I mean, to most people,
Yeah.
this is boring stuff. You know, it's so important.
But it's important.
Very important.
It's important, boring stuff.
But it is important,
The
boring.
important stuff is always boring.
But really, what needs to be done is the voter really needs to look at, and I'm going to go into the Tate and what was it, Michael Shields.
Yeah.
That recent. Michael Shields understood a lot of this. Michael Shields was always bombarded by the administration because he wasn't.
He would ask questions.
Yeah, and he wasn't playing ball. And of course they put Tate up to this and moved it on. And I don't know the kid and what have you, but this kid has no background in any of this type of stuff. So now you put another vote on that council because of an ego. Really, is this whole arena to me is just a big ego trip for the mayor. And
Well, Tate's a nice kid. He also serves
kid.
as a coach as one of his activities. Now,
Right.
how do you think a coach is going to view an arena project?
Well, obviously he's gonna. This is no matter what it costs, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
But you don't look at the basics of what it really costs and what the impact is on a community, and that's what the real issue has to
Well,
be.
they're not looking at what the economic impact it has on the community. Yes, it has a nice social impact. It could be.
Yeah.
Q had mentioned that we could have a Kringle party.
Nobody,
or,
we're
we
not
want to do.
against their arena.
Kringle party.
Yeah, all kinds of events he's talking about. That we could do at the
But,
arena.
we've talked behind the scenes about Kringle, which is delicious, fattening, and a wonderful treat. But we've always kind of like mocked the idea that when they get down to the Kringle, when they
You
hang
have
their
to bring
head
the
on
Kringle
that-
out.
Oh yeah, when you're dragging that one out of the barn, I tell you.
I said they brought the Kringle up on this episode. I can't believe it.
Yeah, you can't
brought
get the
the
wagon moving. Call the Kringle out of the barn. That'll.
Yeah, just a little bit of patting the shoulder of the Kringle people. They are manufacturing something.
Oh,
They are,
absolutely.
yeah.
It is a manufacturing industry, manufacturing Kringle. They take the dough and the
It's
nuts
nationwide,
and
yeah.
and they put it together,
Right.
and they're selling a product. So that's one reason that you can look at it.
And that's
as
why it's been
successful.
successful.
That's right, and it helps build the
Right,
economy
and there's
because
jobs.
it's manufacturing.
It's all
That's
those things. This is where the arena,
that's
and you
right.
go to have a Kringle festival. There's
Yeah.
no jobs. They're going to get fat, and you're going to have. It's a consumer product.
Yeah, once it's made, you're done with it. Now
Right.
it becomes
Right.
You're
And
into
that's
the
not going to
into
drag.
distribution and consumption.
Yeah, you make the Kringle. That's fine.
Yeah.
But now we're going to eat the Kringle. That's not a
Yeah,
a
a place to
profitable-
pass it around. No,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
not.
So I think
driving the
Q,
industry.
you might have a little off there, but they'll help you along.
Failure is somewhat a womb of success. All true success is born out of failure. And we must, as Zig Ziglar says, we must plan to win, we must prepare to win, and expect to win. And I think it would be a shame if this council and this administration, whoever's there, sit on our hands and do nothing. That is totally unacceptable.
Just like to make a comment about this. All success comes out of failure. The only thing that's coming out of those failures is education. It is entirely possible to be educated properly in the first place as to regard your activity,
right.
and you don't have to fail. You can succeed right from the beginning. But unfortunately, schools or wherever else they're supposed to learn this and aren't teaching it, so a person has to go in and learn at what they call the school of hard knocks, and learn that way.
You pay to go to school one way or another.
Yeah. So that's all the validity there is to that. You do not need to fail in order to succeed.
And
Well, and I agree that life is not risk-free.
No,
I mean,
no,
it's,
no,
you
no,
do have to
absolutely
take
not.
some risks.
No.
But this risk that he's talking about with this convention arena project or whatever they want to label
George,
it.
you take a risk. I'll take a risk. The city council, I don't want no risk.
Well, but
I'll
this
take
is
a-
this is the same risks that
Right.
they've been taking for years.
And
you
And
know?
it's easy to take a risk with somebody else's money. You
Absolutely,
get very
yeah.
sloppy with it, which
Right.
they've been doing,
right.
project after project after project.
And
after
not only that,
project.
George, when they go into a project, and we can bring up the fact that there's a complaint filed on Dickert and the administration because of those sloppiness that goes on there, because they had to have this thing so badly at Machinery Row, they actually went out there and there's a complaint out there that says they actually violated the law doing it. I mean, how bad does this have to
No,
get?
that's really sloppy.
Yeah.
And when he talks about, not doing anything about it, yes, true. You don't want to just let a problem there and not doing something
Right.
about it. But at least let's look at it and do the best we can to do something good about it, to make it work.
Right.
All right? Not to just, well, hey, we got this money over here. Let's do a study. Let's spend $600,000 on a study and see if this thing's going to fly. So somewhere along the line, we've got to get the wisdom in there so we don't make so many mistakes. And this is one thing I'm hoping that people understand. We're broadening out a little bit here where you need to look at the type of project that it is. If it's a manufacturing type of thing, it will bring growth. If it's a consumer type of thing, it will not bring growth. And at least if we learn that, and we can quit having all these failures and start getting a few more successes.
Right.
And one of the successes that we're looking at is bringing in this I system that doesn't have to cost the taxpayers anything, so that we can bring back this manufacturing base that made Racine powerful, made it a worldwide competitor on a big scale, and we can do it again. And there is a good way to bring it back. And we're working on that plan now. When it's revealed, you're going to like it. You just heard the first part of it. But the first
Like
part
Zig
of it,
Ziglar.
as I said,
We got Zig Ziglar over here. All right. I want to listen to Sandy here. Let's see what she got to
she's
say.
got good.
I'll say I am in total support of an event center, but I deal with the realities. I deal with numbers. Yes, I'm here to amuse you, Mayor. Thank you. I deal with numbers. For example, what we do know is back in 2010, the amount of city purpose tax levy we used for debt was $8,061,000. In 2017, the property taxes, which are about the same, it's up to $17,108,000. So we went from having a debt service in 2010 that ate up 19% of our budget to a debt service that is now taking up 32% of our budget. What we do know is that this event center that is being proposed will be financed by the City of Racine taxpayers alone. Perhaps somebody will come in and contribute 5%, 10%, even 25%, but we are talking about adding another anywhere from $25 to $60 million worth of debt on an already $102 million debt that the city carries. We cannot continue in this direction. And Alderman Shakur is correct. There are properties that are coming off the tax rolls. We have $6.3 million worth of assessed property tax that is coming off the property tax rolls in what we know as Machinery Row. That is something that we know. There are several aldermen that have been on this council at a time when we were cutting our public works staff, we were cutting our park staff, we closed a fire station, we turned off people's street lights. We know what it's like to make tough decisions. When you consider adding to the debt like this event center will do, you have to vet it better than what we have done. We, as a body, spent less than 2 days talking about this before we rushed ahead to fund this. And I will tell you this, that the $600,000 that we allocated for the Hammes Company to do phase one is not the whole sum of money that's being spent. In March alone, there was a check written for $63,042 to SB Friedman. As far as I know, that's not part of the $600,000 that we allocated. There was a check written for $20,090 to a public relations firm called Brannigan Communications to sell the public on the idea of the event center. Of course, that's just the down payment. The actual cost for the public relations is $78,000. That is one of the updates that Alderman Shakur talked about. The Director of City Development goes ahead, writes out these orders in the form of a purchase order, and then comes to the appropriate body and makes a request that she be allowed to do that. In March, another $32,000, almost $33,000 was spent on Mallory and Zimmerman for their legal fees related to the event center. And then a small amount to the DNR, $1,700 for closure modification fees. These are all items that are separate from the 600,000 we're allocating. So by the time all is said and done, we probably are going to spend closer to $1 million to get results of a phase one that's going to tell us that we, the city of Racine taxpayers, in order to have this event center, are going to have to debt finance anywhere between, you name a number, 35, 40, 50 million. We can't afford.
Okay, well, I think we should shut it down for this evening right there.
That summed it.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
out, see, this is the way you fail again.
Yep.
Going to the wrong kind of project, a consumer-driven project with lots of money, and then expecting it to build the economy. That is a formula for failure.
Well, let's just let Sandy's Widener's
She did a great job.
let her message
Brought it up
percolate
there.
in the minds of the
The next
viewer.
one I want to bring John Dickert into it and see what he has to say about this.
Oh yeah, that's going to be real interesting. We're going to have 2 flat forehead episodes in a row here, I think. Anyway, thanks for sitting through this with us. We've tried to keep it as light as we can. This is a very heavy subject because it involves your taxpayer dollars and ours too, for that
And
matter.
the future of the city.
And the future, yeah, the very future of
growth
the
of
city.
this city.
It needs to turn around.
So we appreciate you being here, and tell your friends and neighbors about us. Go to Facebook and like us, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.